still got the whole rest of the day to get things done. So it's a cool perspective.
Thank you, Dal. What's up, Brother George? Where's cornbread? You on mute. I can't hear you. Cornbread, I see you. Yeah. Everybody.
Yep. Everybody.
Good evening.
Okay, you're here right now. We having technical difficulty too. The tech had to come fix them.
Hey, but it's okay.
so they
It's
can
all
hear you
good.
now. So, okay. All right.
Hello.
Okay.
Good evening, Miss Eleanor. Good to see
Good
you.
evening. Good evening.
So good to see you.
That's Leo. Leo.
Hi, Leo. Oh,
So
Leo.
good
How
to
you
see
doing?
you.
Let me see
A
what
big
I'm
hug and a
on.
big kiss.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, my hair.
Yes, ma'am. You look great. You and Charmin.
Hi, Miss Ellie.
It's so good to be with everybody.
Yeah.
Mr. Darrow, what's up?
Hey, my brother.
How you
Hi,
doing?
Mr. Bill. Good to see you.
Good evening. Good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Bill.
It is better to be seen than viewed.
Where's our brother Scott?
Okay.
Don't see Scott.
He's on with Jay trying to make sure his sound and everything is working out.
Okay.
What?
That's
Okay.
Is that Suki? Suki!
yes,
Hello,
yes, ma'am.
Vanessa.
Much better.
And
Yeah.
Mr. Spiro.
Miss Ellie.
Spiro!
Please be careful. I will. I'll call you when I get it.
Zero.
Buenas noches, familia.
Buenas
Buenas
noches a
noches. Buenas
todos.
Buenas
noches.
noches a todos. Hey, Bill.
Hey,
Hi.
Leila.
Mr. Bill. Good to see you, man.
See you too.
Good to be
Mhm.
seen.
Uh-huh.
Waiting, I got a question for y'all. A rooster went up to a roof and laid an egg. Which way did it roll off?
I don't want to spoil it.
Sunny side up.
Mhm.
Oh no, it's
Say it
funny.
again. A rooster went up
I'm
to the
gonna
roof.
take an extra couple of minutes for that one.
Rooster went up to the roof, laid an egg.
Roosters,
Which way did it
roosters
roll
don't
off?
lay eggs.
There
Roosters
you
don't
go.
lay
Who said that?
eggs. I
There
did.
you go.
There you go.
Roosters
don't
don't
lay
lay
eggs.
eggs.
Oh,
But I knew the answer. I just wanted to
If it was a hen,
Yeah,
it's
you were
sunny
thinking.
side up.
No, wait. Hold on. Bernard, tell the truth. You were thinking breakfast.
say.
Come on now.
Earlier, about a minute ago.
Okay.
Hello, hello, hello. You
Jeff.
let him in?
Hello. Such a
Hello.
Okay.
Hello, can someone let Henry in? He's trying to get on.
Okay, please.
Yeah, I don't see any more messages from, okay.
oh, let me in.
Let me take this off.
Jabbings.
Let me in. Let me in.
Who's that?
Hey, Sharon.
Mouty
Maybe-
may be in with Jay and Scott trying to get his everything squared away.
Yeah, O'Neill's are on board. Hey, y'all.
Got quiet out there. Anybody else got a tongue twister or a joke?
No,
No. It's a sad day if you ain't got a joke to tell.
I can't take it.
Hey, there's Scott. Hey,
Jeff, it's
Amari.
good to hear your voice, man.
Hey, good to be heard.
Good to hear all you guys' voice. Good to see you guys as well.
That's my brother.
Hey,
What's up, Scott? How are you?
I'm doing good. How about you, George?
Doing great. Doing
Hey,
great.
George.
A
Hey,
great.
Jay.
I had a great visit with my brother.
Good, good. When did you get back?
Early this morning,
midnight.
Okay.
around midnight.
This plane was delayed.
Wow. So who picked you up?
Mama.
Guess who?
I tell you what, boy. You got a trooper there, man. You got a trooper.
I do.
Yeah. It's so good to see all you guys. We're going to go and start service since we were a little late.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our midweek service. We'll start by reading Isaiah 54:5. For your maker is your husband. The Lord of hosts is his name. And your Redeemer is the Holy One of Israel. He is the God of the whole earth. Amen. Let's pray. Gracious and awesome Father, thank you for this evening. Thank you for allowing us to be online. I pray that all the technical issues will be fixed. I pray that we will do what we need to do tonight and hear what we need to hear tonight so that we can be stewards of your money and of our money. Thank you so much for everything that you do for us. Thank you most of all for Jesus, his death and his resurrection. Thank you for your patience with us and your love and your kindness. And it's in Jesus' precious name we pray. Amen. Okay, I'm grateful that we have Jesus Mamie here this evening. He will continue part 2 of the presentation he began last week. Jay, you gave many of us a wake-up call, and that's a good thing. So we're going to go on with Amaldi and announcements.
And good to see everybody. Hope you all had a great day. Let me share with you a few announcements. Please share these with those who may not be here, and also keep in mind the prayer requests that we have. Take the opportunity to encourage folks via text, voicemail. Right, there's so many ways that we can stay connected, even when we're not physically in the same place. So it's a good opportunity to encourage those of us that are on the prayer list. Let's please keep praying for Sean Hendrick and his family, specifically his dad, Lawrence, who was hospitalized. Also pray for Trinidad Lopez and his family on the passing of Trini's brother. And Marlene Lopez, pray for her mother's health, who's dealing with health issues. Some sad news. Let's please continue to pray for Raul Harvey and his family. His mother passed away this week. Also grieving are Darian and Ingrid. So pray for their family as Darian's uncle Joe passed away. And we also learned on Sunday that our sister in Christ, Colette Baird, member here in the Harlem ministry, passed away. So pray for her family as well. Let's keep our brothers and sisters in prayer. And then, if we have the opportunity to serve them in any way, let's try to make the most of that opportunity. Looking ahead at our midweek schedule for the rest of the month, we've got one left in the year that's scheduled December 18th. We'll be back here all together continuing this financial series that we continue tonight, as Inez introduced us to. No midweek on the 25th, and also no midweek on January 1st, because that'll be New Year's Day. So we'll see you again next week for midweek at 7 p.m. We'll also see each other on Sunday. This Sunday at 10 a.m. is our Christmas service. So encourage everybody to come ready to worship as always, but also with a focus on Christmas. Great opportunity to encourage, to invite our friends and our neighbors to come out. I don't have this on my announcements list, but I'm a parent, so I'm going to share here that There's not going to be any children's ministry because the children are going to be in class, but I think by now most parents have gotten a text with that information. So keep that in mind if, in case you're not a parent, maybe your friend that's coming out has a child, right? So we won't have children's ministry. All the children will be in service with us this Sunday to celebrate Christmas. Happening this week, this Friday, is the annual Winter Wonderland at PS 180. We're excited to serve the families here at PS 180. And this event is just 2 days away at this point. It's not too late to volunteer or purchase gifts for a student at the school. You can join in on that evening of fun, family, and community activities. Come early to help decorate, set up, or serve food, manage the arts and crafts, and make memories. If you want to help out, you can see Miriam's number there on the screen. Please contact Miriam at 917-569-5766. It's not too late to help out and serve this Friday. Looking at also another opportunity to continue to work and serve through Hope is by sponsoring a family at PS 180 with our Hope in Harlem crew. This holiday season, we have a beautiful opportunity to bless a family at the school. Many of these families live in shelters without kitchens to prepare meals, or in homes with no heat, water, or gas to cook a warm holiday dinner. We invite you to sponsor a family by providing them with a Christmas meal and the joy that comes with knowing someone cares. If you are interested in learning more or signing up, please visit the Hope Table on Sunday after service, or speak to Miriam. Call her at 917-569-5766. And as the Bible says in Hebrews 13, verse 16, do not neglect to do good and to share what you have, for such sacrifices are pleasing to God. So this is a great opportunity to serve the community. For the Edge Singles Ministry, December 21st will be the last Singles Ministry Edge Singles Night Devotional of the year, and that's December 21st at 7 p.m. at 263 West 86th Street. Join the Edge Ministry for a time of worship and reflection in person, December 21st. I want to remind you that our Harlem end of year video is still in production. It's under production, and each of us has an opportunity to support it or to contribute to it. You can email pictures or videos of Harlem Ministry events from 2024 to Chris Bailey by December 22nd. His email address is harlemphoto@gmail.com. You can see the email address on the screen. Contact him to help out with that. Looking a little bit further ahead in January, we're going to have a series of midweeks on mental health basics, providing effective care. This is going to be an 8-week series aimed at providing basic mental health information to promote effective care to those struggling with their mental health. These sessions will be our midweek services from January 8th through the end of February, using our regular normal Zoom link, the same one that we're using tonight. So we're all set up. Keep that in mind, save the date, and we'll see you in the new year with those midweek services. Also happening in 2025, the Harlem 2025 Marriage Retreat. It's actually Harlem and Westchester coming together, titled Love on Top. It's happening February 14th through the 16th at the Heritage Hotel Golf and Spa Conference Center in Connecticut. Costs are $525 per couple for 2 nights, the full retreat, or $335 per couple for Saturday night only, including Saturday classes and the events on Saturday. Registration deadline is January 26th at 11:59 p.m. You can register now. Registration is on our church website. Just go to nycclc.net/Harlem and click on the events tab at the top. You'll see a link for this exciting marriage retreat. And of course, how do you stay connected? You just go right to our website. Right, I just mentioned it. Welcome you to go there, stay aware of what's happening. If you have an announcement or a prayer request that you'd like to submit, you can use a link on that website, and there's a number of other resources there as well. So with that, those are the announcements. I want to encourage all of us to meditate on this next song, and I encourage you to sing along if you're able to, if you're in a spot where you can. Even if you can't sing out loud, maybe you can sing with your mind. Close your eyes, listen in, or if you need the lyrics are going to be on the screen.
turn it in your favor. Watch him work it for your good. He's not done with what he started. No, he's not done until it's good. Hello, peace. Hello, joy. Hello, love. Hello, strength. Hello, hope. It's a new horizon. Hello, peace. Hello, joy. Hello, love. Hello, strength. Hello, hope. It's a new horizon. If you're ready for a breakthrough, yeah, just open up and just receive. Yeah, 'cause what he's pouring out is nothing you ever seen. You ever seen. Hello, peace. Hello, joy. Hello, love. Hello, strength. Hello, hope. It's a new horizon. Hello, peace. Hello, joy. Hello, love. Hello, strength. Hello, hope. It's a new horizon. It's a new day. Fear is not my future. You are. Sickness is not my story. You are. You are. And heartbreak's not my home. You are. You are. Death is not the end. You are. You are. Fear is not my future. You are. You are. Sickness is not my story. You are. You are. You are. Heartbreak's not my home. You are. You are. Death is not the end. Jesus, you are. You are. So hello, peace. Hello, joy. Hello, love. It's a new day. Hello, strength. Hello, hope. It's a new horizon. The sun is coming up. Hello, peace. Hello, joy. Hello, love. Hello, strength. Hello, hope. It's a new horizon. Fear is not my future. You are. You are. Sickness is not my story. You are. You are. Heartbreak's not my home. You are. You are. Death is not the end. Jesus, you are.
All right. We're gonna have Jay to come on in, brother. Come on in and take us to part two.
Okay, can everyone hear me?
Yes, sir. We can
Okay.
hear you and see you,
All right, very good.
and we see your screen.
All right, very good. Okay. So we're going to pick up tonight where we sort of left off a little bit last week, with the exception that we're going to take a little bit more time into specific sections that I think are important. Now, one thing I want to say is that there's a very diverse group here with different needs, different questions, and that's natural. When you are in different seasons of your life, you're going to want to know different things that may not apply to someone else. Someone who's 45, 50 and older, looking at retirement or in retirement, is going to have different questions than someone who is in the early stages of getting life started, 20, 25, 30. Someone who's single will have different concerns than someone who's married. So ultimately, where this can go, where it accommodates everyone is, as I mentioned to Scott, this is sort of laying groundwork, eye-opening, and some things I'm going to cover today is certainly going to open up more of that. But ultimately, it really boils down to having a private, one-on-one meeting where we can dive into whatever specific questions you have that are most important in your life right now. And I mentioned to Scott, this is what I do. I think that it would be great if you're open to it, those of you that are interested to have a more of a customized session where I could learn more about you and then be specific with some questions that you might have pertaining to your situation. Okay. I'm open for that. I'm at your disposal. Okay. So let me go into a little bit here of the 4 cornerstones that I think are important to cover. I've always taught that, they say that the cornerstones are the most important part of the building, right? And that's, you read that in scriptures, the cornerstone, right? Well, here the 4 cornerstones to build a solid house that can withstand the storms and the winds of change and the turbulence of trials is protection, growth, meaning how do I grow my money? Whether it's growing my money so that I can have something way down the road, or whether it's growing my money so I can have something in the short term. But then the third cornerstone is how do I keep it safe? See, it doesn't do any good for you to have all the protection in place, and we're going to talk about what those protections are in a second, so that you can protect yourself from being blindsided. The unexpected always occurs when you don't expect it. And when you're not prepared for the unexpected, you end up creating financial chaos, and you'll see what that means in a second. But then once you've got that in place, then it's okay, well, how do I grow my money? What are the options out there? What are the vehicles? And then how do I do that where I can keep my money safe? Doesn't do me any good to sacrifice, to put money away, and then to lose my money because of some circumstance that had nothing to do with me, maybe some pandemic or war or something that causes the markets to go down. But here's the thing. You could do number 1 right. You could do number 2 right. You could do number 3 right. And if you don't get a handle on number 4, how do you keep more of the money you make? You're going to run into some problems because you'll end up giving more than your fair share to Uncle Sam in terms of taxes when you need it the most. So what we're going to talk about today is how do you have protection. We go here. Second. All right, so I'm going to spend some time here because this is where, guys, I'm going to be honest with you. This is where I feel that the majority of people make the biggest mistake. No one is promised tomorrow at all. I think we know that, right? I mean, I yesterday I was on Facebook, and if you're on Facebook and you happen to see when people post a profile picture of someone, it's usually someone who maybe has a birthday or something. But the other side of that, and you already know when you see that face that it's could be that the person has passed away, right? And we've all seen these posts. But when they pass away unexpectedly, it it just leaves you numb. Well, that happened to me yesterday. Someone who I know from my business. I saw the post of the brother who put it up on, and it was a picture of him and his sister, and she died on the 13th, and she was 50 years old. Her daughter just got engaged. Horrible. We don't know the details of it, but the point is the unexpected happens when you least expect it. And certainly there's things that are going to happen to all of us that we have to be prepared for. And certainly that is death, that's getting sick, that's getting hurt. And if none of that happens, and you make it to retirement, well, how do you protect your retirement? So you have to have fundamentally an understanding that protection is the main cornerstone of your financial life. Financial stability comes from having peace of mind that if something happens to me, things are okay. The person who I'm caring for is going to be okay. I'm going to be okay if it turns to be a sickness or disability. So the foundation of proper protection are fourfold. Number one, disability or workers' comp. If you work at a company and they have workers' compensation, that's okay because disability protects your paycheck. I'm going to say that again. Disability or workers' comp protects your paycheck. The money that you are used to earning every month can be jeopardized if you get disabled and you cannot work. You didn't die, you just can't work. Well, disability is one of those foundational protection plans that we encourage everyone to have. If you're self-employed, you better have disability. If you are at a job, then they should provide workers' comp. Because if you cannot replace your income due to some inability to work because of a physical condition, you're in trouble. You're in trouble. Long-term care. Let's talk about long-term care. Now, I'm gonna give you a statistic that is pretty shocking. And they told us this 25 years ago when I started in the business, before the baby boomers started really becoming into the demographics. And from the looks of some of the screens, a lot of you are in the baby boomer age. Well, 25 years ago, they said that the biggest concern that the insurance industry has will be long-term care. People who have a situation where they need nurses aid, nursing home, hospice, home health aid. All of those things are going to be a problem. They said 20, 25 years down the road when the baby boomers start to go into their 50s and 60s. Well, guess what? Those statistics that I thought about 25 years ago, they're happening. They've come to pass. 1 out of every 3 adults that's over 50, 1 out of every 3 adults that's over 50 will have a long-term care problem. That's a healthcare crisis that requires you to have a hospice, home health aid, nurses aid, nursing care, a daycare, an adult daycare. Those are very expensive costs. Well, here's what's scary. And I was just giving a young lady this statistic earlier today. There's 1 out of 3 is going to experience a long-term care challenge if you're over 50. But out of that 1 out of 3, 78% is a female. So if I'm sitting and I'm paying attention to this statistic and I'm over 50 and I'm a female, I need to pay attention that I could be the next statistic. So how do I protect myself and my money should I have a healthcare crisis that is not covered by health insurance? Stroke, cancer, all of those things that do not allow you to live a normal life is a long-term care crisis. Let me continue to clarify that because this is important. What does long-term care mean? It means when you cannot perform 2 out of the 6 basic living functions. The 6 basic living functions are being able to cook for yourself, being able to bathe yourself, being able to go to the bathroom by yourself, being able to get dressed by yourself, being able to make financial decisions by yourself. And I forgot what the 6th one is. But those are basic functions, right? Well, if you can't do 2 out of them because of some healthcare crisis, maybe you got into a car accident. That's another thing that can happen, right? Well, if you can't do 2 out of those 6, you qualify for long-term care. But long-term care is not paid by health insurance. Long-term care is not paid by most employers. Long long-term care is not paid by Medicaid or Medicare. They cover it for 20 days, and then you're on your own. So who pays for that nurse's aid? Who pays for that home health aid? Comes out of your pocket 99% of the times, unless you have a long-term care coverage or protection. So I always tell individuals the fastest way to run out of money, if you save the money for a long period of time, the fastest way to run out of money is not have a long-term care plan or some way to protect your money because you're using somebody else's money to pay for those costs. So why is long-term care important? Because long-term care coverage protects your savings. So you don't have to dip into it to pay the people that got to take care of you. Now, if you're married and you don't have the money and you don't have the long-term care, then your spouse is going to have to be the one that steps in. That happens all the time. Your children will be the ones that have to step in. That happens all the time. Somebody's got to move in with somebody. And I know most parents, they don't want to put that burden on their children. Well, that's what happens when there isn't enough money to pay for care. Does that make sense? So why is protection, this type of protection, important? Because if you run into a situation where you get diagnosed with lupus, or you have a heart attack, or a stroke, or a seizure, and you run into a situation where you can't do 2 out of those 6 functions, and you need a around-the-clock nursing care, or a nurse to come in a few hours a week, or just have family members come in to help you out, somehow money's got to come from somewhere to pay those people. That's why you protect yourself with long-term care. Let's talk about retirement. How do you protect yourself from retirement? Well, most people don't understand how a pension works. So how do you protect yourself from 2 things when it comes to retirement? Number 1, running out of money. You could run out of money. The problem today is if you live long, you better have your money live as long as you. And the only way that you can have your money live as long as you, meaning that you have a guaranteed source of income every month, it'll come from a pension, if you got one, or Social Security. With Social Security, like I mentioned last time, if you're young like me or younger, you probably aren't going to see any Social Security. Retirement is about protecting the money you're going to live on. And how does that retirement money become exposed to risk, to losing it? Long-term care, I just talked about, you run right through your retirement money real quick with a situation like that. But number 2, if the market goes down, and here one day you're excited about having 200,000 in your 401k, and then the next year is down to 150,000. Your 401k just became a 201k, just because situations happen around the planet. Protect your retirement. How do you protect it? You take whatever you've been able to accumulate and you safeguard it by converting it into a pension. See, most people don't understand that you can create your own pension. People have always been taught that the only way you get a pension, and what's a pension? A pension is a guaranteed monthly income that's going to get paid to you for however long you live. That's a pension. Well, most people think, well, I have to be at a job to get a pension. Well, if they offer it, yeah, you get a pension from your job or the union. But you can take the money that you've accumulated in whatever savings you've accumulated it, and you can convert that into a pension. It's called a personal designed pension. That means you designed the pension yourself with your own money. So how does that work? You have a 401k. Now, this is for people that are close to retirement. If you're 35 years old, this don't pertain to you. But if you're 50, 55 years old, and you're concerned that the next 10, 15, 20 years, you're going to retire, and you need to make sure that retirement money is coming, well, you can convert that 401k or that IRA into a pension designed IRA. That way, the day you decide, okay, I'm ready to stop working, I need money every month, you turn on that pension and it gets paid to you for however long you live. And you could even design it that if you pass away first, you can continue to leave that pension payment to your spouse. Most people don't know they can do that. That's how you protect your retirement. But how do you also protect your retirement? How do you protect your pension? Apart from what I just shared, there's something called pension maximization plan. Now watch this. Here's John. John gets a pension. He gets $2,000 a month. His wife, Mary, lives off that pension. In other words, that $2,000 that he's got coming in plus whatever else he's getting, they use that. That's household income. That's how they get along in retirement. Or that's how they're going to plan their retirement. They count on that money. She's counting on that money, on that 2,000. He worked for it. She did. He dies. When he dies, the pension stops. In most cases, the pension stops. So what's Mary going to do? She needs the extra money that he was bringing in from the pension to continue to pay the medical bills and pay the rent, the mortgage, and everything else. So a pension maximization means that I would go to John and say, John, let's insure your pension payment. John says, what are you talking about? So yeah, you're used to bringing in $2,000. If you pass away, an insurance company, as long as you're in decent health, will continue to pay the $2,000 to your spouse should you pass. Or maybe you don't want to leave $2,000. Maybe you figure, well, one less mouth to feed. She don't need 2,000. She only needs 1,000. Well, you can insure 1,000 of it. That's protecting your retirement, and most people don't know. Let's talk about life insurance. This is the one that gets me. This gets under my skin, guys. It gets under I was talking to Scott about this. It gets under my skin. Because we're all gonna die one day, right? Isn't that true? We all die. That's a 1-to-1 ratio. We're gonna die one day, and hopefully if you lived right here, right, and you've got the right faith, you're going to a better place. But it happens to all of us. So why would you not plan for that? Let me give you an example. If all of a sudden you turned on the news and the newsman, the weatherman said it's going to rain tomorrow, 100% chance it's going to rain. And you turned on another channel and that weatherman said the same thing, 100% chance it's going to rain tomorrow, heavy rain. And you go on the internet and the internet says, hey, tomorrow's going to rain. Your friend called you up and your friend says, hey, you hear all that rain's coming? You got all these people telling you it's going to rain, multiple people telling you it's going to rain. Chances are tomorrow, what's going to happen? It's going to rain. How crazy would you be to leave your house without an umbrella? In what frame of mind could you justify leaving your house without an umbrella, knowing that everybody told you it's going to rain? And then here's what's worse. When you get wet, you complain. You actually have the nerve to say, I'm getting wet. Well, you didn't pay attention to the fact that overwhelming evidence told you what's gonna happen, and you walked out of the house without an umbrella. So when situations happen to good people where the unexpected occurs and somebody passes away and they don't leave behind life insurance, I mean, come on. I was telling Scott about a good brother out here in Texas. I met him through the HOA that my community's in, and he's an electrician. He's got a great story. He's from Ukraine. He escaped religious persecution. He's a Christian, religious persecution. He escaped it about 5 years ago. Went to California, then came to Dallas. And he taught himself how to be an electrician, and he's doing okay for himself. Up and down in business sometimes, but he's doing okay. He's got 5 kids. He's 34 years old. Listen to me now. He's got 5 kids. All of them, one after the other. 2, 4, 5. And he's 34 years old. His wife is at home, obviously taking care of the kids. And he has a house. And he's out there hustling, doing electrical work to support his family. So I sat down with him. I just had to ask because I like the guy and I genuinely care about people. So his name is Alex Pislaw. I said, Alex, let me ask you a question. Has anyone ever sat down with you and given you financial education since you've been here in the US? He says, no. But he's smart enough to know that he's got to start doing some things because he's self-employed. So I went through a presentation just like this, and we talked about life. And I said to him, Alex, you're the main breadwinner in your home. If your wife got a knock on the door from a police officer giving her the bad news that you got into this accident, maybe you stuck your finger when you shouldn't have stuck your finger, got electrocuted, anything can happen. Climbed up somewhere, fell down. And she told your wife the bad news that you're never coming home because that happens. How long would the money last that you've got saved? How long would that money that you've got saved, how long would it last before your wife will be in trouble? And do you think that the rest of your family is going to continue to provide your family and those 5 kids the same financial support you've been providing for them for the next 15 years? His face just went blank. He says, no, Jay, none of that. I said, so we need to make sure that we get you some life insurance to protect your income, because that's what life insurance is for, is to protect your income, the income and the financial support that you provide to somebody else, the financial support that somebody else is relying on to make a livelihood. That's what we need to protect. Can't protect your life. When it's time to go, it's time to go. But you can protect the financial support that you bring to your family. And so I showed him term insurance, and we're going to talk a little bit about that. I showed him term insurance. Why? Because it's inexpensive. I know he's on the budget. He needs at least $1 million of insurance. He said, how do I arrive at $1 million? I said, well, it's easy. You go 8 to 10 times your annual income. That's the status, that's the basis. Or you can do what's called, and some of you, maybe you're taking notes. For some of you younger folks, this is good to take notes. Now, some of you older folks, this may not be the reason why you do life insurance. It could be for the long-term care. It could be to leave something behind. It could be to protect your pension. But in this guy's case, I said to him, we're going to use the DIME method. D-I-M-E. Because most people, when it comes to insurance, either don't have any, like this brother, or they don't have enough, or they have too much. And there is such a thing as having too much life insurance. If you understand what the purpose of life insurance is, then you figure out how much you need, you don't pay more than what you need, and you don't underinsure yourself. Well, D-I-M-E, how do you calculate how much life insurance you need? Well, first of all, D stands for debt. If something happens to you, how much debt do you have that you're leaving behind to your loved one? How much debt? 20,000 in credit cards? You got a joint account? Okay. You got some student loans? Okay. Debt. That's got to get paid so the survivor isn't left burdened, because the creditors will come after your survivor. If you have a joint account, the creditors are coming at, they don't care if you die. They're coming after the other person who's on that account. Okay. And then I is for income. I said, Alex, you make about $80,000 a year, and that's what supports your family. Something happens to you, how much money you think your family's still going to need? He says, well, I don't eat a lot. So maybe 60,000. I said, okay, for how long? He says, well, I mean, for the next 15 years. My little one is 4 years old. Okay, very simple then. 60,000 times 15. That takes care of your wife, providing support for those kids for the next 15 years as if you were still alive. Make sense? Yeah, so that's I for income. M is for mortgage. If you have a mortgage, same thing. I told Alex, can your wife pay the mortgage if you die? He said, no way. He said, so let's put together a part of this insurance, enough in the insurance policy that pays off the mortgage. So what have we done? What have you done, Alex, for your family? All the debts are paid. Your wife has income to take care of those kids, so those kids don't have to go through chaos. And your wife don't have to marry out of finance. She can marry out of love, remarry. Not for financial support. She can marry out of love. Okay. And then number 3, the mortgage is paid. And then E is just taking care of those final expenses like burial and that kind of stuff. Okay. That's how you calculate how much coverage you need if you are a younger person with a family. If you're older and the kids are all grown up and there really isn't a whole lot of debt and you don't have all these other obligations that are tied to your spouse, but then insurance becomes something to leave behind as another way to support your spouse financially. What that dollar amount, that could be that could be one of those scenarios where you might say, I just want to leave 100,000 or 200,000 or 250 or 150. It's subject to your own personal preference if none of those other reasons to have insurance are typically there. Or again, you may want to do it just to protect your pension. Okay. That's how you look at the fundamentals of insurance, whether it's disability, long-term care, protected retirement, or life insurance. Here's what I'm going to encourage you to consider. And I'll open it up for questions in a few because this is a heavy topic and it is foundation number 1. Nothing else matters. Growing the money, where do I put it? How do I invest it? None of that matters if you don't have the basis of this house in place. And let me leave you with this last analogy and I'll open it up for questions. Okay. And let me just reiterate, everybody's need is different. The key is to understand, what are my options? Why do I need it? How much do I need? What can I afford? And then figuring out if you have too much, if you don't have enough, or if you don't have any at all, what direction should I go in? But if it's raining, get an umbrella. Let me leave you with this last point. Out here in Texas, they're building houses like crazy. I mean, you can't go anywhere without seeing cranes, dirt removers. It's unbelievable the amount of people that are moving to the Dallas area where I'm at, North Dallas. So I like to give the analogy that if you were driving around, if you were purchasing a home, let's say you you signed a contract to purchase a brand new construction. In other words, there's dirt and you're watching them build your house, which is pretty cool. Could be a little nerve-wracking, but it's pretty cool when you got a brand spanking new house. Well, if you sign that contract and you did like most people do, then you kind of go around, you start to visit the lot, you see them start to build it, and I've been there, I know it's exciting. You get all excited about it. But what if you did that, and all of a sudden you saw the builder, the home builder, and as he's starting to prepare the land, you see that they start working on the roof. They start building the roof, right? You would go to the builder and say, hey, what are you doing there? The builder says, well, I'm building your house. And you say, but why are you starting with the roof? And he said, well, that's how you're supposed to. You start at the roof. And if you ask them, where are you going after that? He said, well, I'm going to build the second floor. And then we're going to get the first floor. And then we're going to get some paint and furniture. And you're going to have a beautiful house. You would question that builder. Why? You would say, hey, builder, didn't it make sense to work on the foundation? I mean, if you're going to leave the foundation for last, that's not a smart way to build a house, because the foundation, as solid as that foundation is, will determine how solid that house is going to stand. And it don't matter if you build a 2-story house, 3-story house, beautiful attic, beautiful roof. If the foundation ain't right, as some of you who own homes, or maybe you've heard of people who've told you the foundation on those homes weren't built right and they had problems. Well, if the foundation of your financial house is not built right, you're going to have problems. And the foundation is protection. And we just talked about it. So what I want to do is open it up. Scott, Aubrey, however you design it, however you do it, if you want to read some of the questions in the chat, let's open it up for a few. And let me stop sharing my screen so I can see the faces here. Okay. And I will turn it back over to Scott or turn it back over to Aubrey. For anybody who's got any questions. Now, guys, listening. There's some questions that I'm not going to be able to answer because they could be specific to your situation. I'll do the best I can. Okay? Because what you might be asking, somebody else might be asking the same thing. Okay? And that's exactly right. The Psalm 127. It's exactly right. Okay? All right. Let's open it up, Scott.
Man, first of all, I'm gonna turn it over to Mark Persing, but bro, that's fantastic. Appreciate that presentation. It's right on point. This is what we need to hear, and so I look forward to you taking us deeper next time, or to another thing. But this is fantastic. I'm glad you hit this point. Mark, are you around, Mark Persing?
Yep. Yep.
So
Right
we're
here.
gonna okay. So what do you think about Mark? You can do the Q&A. You can have people raise their hand, whatever, and you
Yeah.
can facilitate that time.
Yep. No, thank you again, Jay. This was awesome. Definitely want to jump right into it. So if you do have a question, you can either type me in the chat or just raise your digital hand. If you click the react button, and you can raise your hand. Um, Looks like we got Charmin with a question in the chat. I don't know if you can see that, Jay, but maybe we could start with that one and then go from there.
I saw it, but it
Mark,
got
could you read it? Could you read it for him,
right.
please?
Let's read it. Yeah, if you could, Mark it, because I just see everything goes dot dot dot.
Yeah, no, I got it. So it says, my situation is that I'm retired with a whole life insurance policy. However, I'm in credit card debt. What would you suggest in options for clearing the credit card debt?
That's a great question. And the first thing that again, I'm not knowing your whole scenario, okay? But depending on how much credit card debt you have, that's number one. Number two, you want to get rid of the credit card debt. Here's why: because the 17% that you pay to somebody else, by default, the minute you stop paying them 17%, who starts making the 17%? You do. The minute you don't pay 17%, 15%, 21%, God forbid 25% to somebody else in terms of a credit card, you've just by default started paying it to yourself because it stays in your pocket, right? But I would say to you, let's look at the whole life policy because you may be able to use the cash value in the whole life policy to pay the debt. Now you'd have to borrow the money from the cash value, but the interest rate that you borrow from a cash value, even though I'm not real big on whole life policies, but in this scenario, the interest rate that you have when you borrow money from a whole life policy, usually it's about 5 or 6% around there. And you never have to pay it back, by the way. That's you borrow it from the policy to avoid paying taxes. So it's clever. But if I can get the money out of the cash value, depending how much you have, and use it to pay the credit cards, I would look into doing it. Okay, take the money out of your left pocket and pay the money and put it in your right pocket to pay the debt. You still will have your policy, okay, but that's one of the ways to just utilize savings that's in the policy to help clear those debts, or at least make a dent in those debts. Okay, but that's a good question. We need to talk further on that.
Awesome. Thank you. I know a couple minutes ago in the chat, Lisa put, how do I get in touch with you for a one-on-one session? Jay, is there an email that you could put in the chat or something people could reach out to?
Sure.
Thank you. But we'll go to Natalie and then we'll go to Karen, who just raised her digital hand. So Natalie's question was, can my children receive my SSDI after I pass? And if so, for how long?
So can your children receive your Social Security disability? The answer is no. Two things. Number one, Social Security disability is based on your disability. Now, unless they're disabled too, if they have a disability too, then it's possible for that to occur. There's something called right of survivorship. When you set up these plans, sometimes they give you what's called of survivorship. That means that if something happens to you, your survivor has the right to continue receiving the benefit. But SSI, this ability to get passed on to your kids, I've never seen that in 30 years because there'd be no reason for that to happen unless, okay, unless you're the caretaker for them, okay, then you being a caretaker, the money continues to them, okay. But I've never seen that happen. It's rare, okay.
Oh, thank you, Jay. I'm going to pass it over to Karen. Feel free to unmute yourself.
Hello, guys. So everything he's saying is true, but I want to encourage Sherman and anybody who has a whole life policy, read your policy because sometimes when you borrow, you have to pay 7% back or more. And also it subtracts from your death benefit if you're leaving that benefit to somebody. You can also surrender your policy and get a cash value. So just please, everybody, what he's saying is correct, most of it, but you got to read your own policies. You got to read them, especially whole life, IUL, universal life. You got to, and Jay, I work part-time for Primerica. So you definitely, everybody read your stuff before you do anything.
We got Travis in the chat. Can you share one of your personal financial success stories? And then it looks like we have another question from Ronald after that. But Jay, I don't know if you could speak to like a personal story briefly.
Well, I got a question here. Elsa Marshall said, what if a person with a retirement of $1,300 and $60,000 or 401k can do to survive in New York? It's an interesting question. Trying to figure out what she's saying there, but maybe she could ask that question again, or maybe you could unmute yourself, Elsa. If not, okay. It's a good question. Just trying to understand it. But okay, Scott's hand is raised.
Yeah, I have a question, but I think somebody was getting ready to go before me, and I'll go after them. Mark, did you have someone?
Yeah, we got Ronald and Andrea. So it says in the chat, you informed Mark to take his insurance money to pay off his credit cards. Question is a whole life policy or after paying his cards, wouldn't he have to pay the insurance back? Interest grows daily.
Now, it depends on the whole life policy. You know, I'm not a big fan of whole life policies at all for a lot of reasons. But, you know, if you've got, and again, everybody's situation is different. If you have $20,000 in credit card debt, paying 17.999%, and you've got enough money in the cash, let's say you got a $100,000 policy, you borrow out $20,000 to pay the debt. The young lady who spoke there earlier, she's right. If you die the next day after you take the $20,000 out, that whole life policy is only going to pay $80,000 to your beneficiaries, right? Because you took out 20, if you take it out as a loan, if you don't pay it back, they deduct it from the death benefit. That's true. But again, everybody's scenario is different. If I'm 60 years old, 65 years old, and these credit card payments are killing me, I'm paying $1,000 a month of credit card debt. I need to live now. If I can pay off these credit card debts, and now I put $1,000 back in my pocket, okay, so maybe when I die, my beneficiaries get $20,000 less. Okay, if I'm, you know, if they're grown up and their debts are paid and I don't have those obligations anymore, what's more important? The money I'm living on right now, get out of this debt, or to leave an extra $20,000 more to my kids when I'm gone, right? Every situation is different. Every situation is different. Okay. Somehow, how did this work for you? Go ahead.
I'm sorry. No, so the question I have, Jay, is that you know, I've had to have some funerals. I've done some funerals lately where people didn't have a will. did not have, protection, like what you were talking about earlier, and some direction, and it's been chaos trying to get things done. And what do you suggest, uh, you know, to a ministry and to people when it comes to, death benefits, how to make sure that people are able to get what you leave behind, or leave something behind. Does
So,
that does that make sense?
it makes total sense. And guys, I'm going to tell you something. Uh, if you ask 10 people, and if we were to do this here, we're not, but if we were to do this here, every 10 person every 10 person that you would ask, do you have a will? The statistics show 8 out of 10 people would say, no, I don't have a will, but I've been thinking about it. No, me and my wife, we've been talking about it. And they never get around to doing it. Some of you know what I'm talking about. Right? The other two, by the way, one of those two, they're okay. But the other one hasn't updated their will in years. So essentially, it's 9 out of 10 that don't have these documents in place. Guys, I'm going to tell you, it's chaos. It'll cost you a lot of money if you pass away, not leaving everything T's crossed, D's I'd as to who gets what, this, that, and the other. Forget about I'm going through that right now with a brother from New York who's got some issues with land. His grandfather left land, and it's a mess. So I always tell folks, if you've got any kind of anything, some people might say, well, I don't have anything. Well, if you don't have anything, okay. But if you've got a little bit of something, a will protects what you work so hard for, so it goes to those you love the most, and you protect them from money it's going to cost them to get legal help. Attorneys, the minute you show up with a will problem or an estate problem, they lick their chops. They know you got to pay them. They'll bang you out for $5,000 because they know you got to pay it because you want the money from wherever the inheritance is coming from. So why leave that? Why do that to your kids? Why do that to your spouse? By the way, it's not just the will. It's an estate plan. So let me explain to you. This is important now. Pay attention. I see Mark Persing. Mark, who's that nice lady sitting next to you?
It's my wife, Hannah.
Hi, Hannah.
Hello.
So let me give you an example. Something happens to Mark. He gets into a terrible accident. He goes to the hospital. Hannah shows up. Hannah says, hey, I'm his wife. I need to know what's going on. They say, where's the paperwork? Oh, I need to make there's some decisions we got to make on Mark's life here. We got to make some decisions, the medical decisions. Hannah says, hey, count me in. I know what he would want. You know what the hospital says? Where's your medical power of attorney? Say, but he's my husband. How do we know that he said it's okay for you to make medical decisions? Or something happens and Mark has a job, a 401k, and Hannah calls Mark's company and says, hey, I'm Mark's wife, he's not doing well, and I just want to get our finances in order. Can you send me a statement of 401k? They're going to say, show us the financial power of attorney. We don't have one. Sorry. We know you're his wife, but how do we know that he was okay with you looking into his stuff? That's called an estate plan. Everybody needs to have them. Everybody. And guys, it doesn't cost hardly anything to do, but you avoid massive problems. At the worst time, when there's somebody's life at stake or somebody's financial well-being at stake, you don't want the red tape legally because you don't have those documents in order. Okay, so that's very important. With regards to what you said, Scott, apart from the will, look, there are what's called final expense policies that you might be able to get them as a group, by the way, Scott, since the church, there's church policies that members can participate in it. These are called final expense policies. Essentially, they're burial policies. So that the church, the organization, is the policy holder. The members are the insured. And the purpose of that policy is that so if a member dies, the policy pays for the burial of that individual. Final expense, 10,000, 15,000, 20,000, no more than that. Okay. But the other thing, guys, is if you don't go through the church, Gerber, now you got to be over 50 for this. Gerber, we all heard of Gerber, right? Gerber does baby policies still, but Gerber now does senior policies. If you're over 50, Gerber
What?
will give you a guaranteed policy. It's final expense. So it's only 20,000. But that's enough for burial, right? And no medical. There's no medical examination. So you might be, your health may be compromised. Your health may be compromised, but as long as you don't die within the first 2 years, there's a 2-year contestability. So in other words, you can't go to Gerber and say, hey, I want a policy, but meanwhile, the doctor just told you got 6 months to live. You could buy the policy, they're not going to check it, but if you die in those 6 months, they're not going to pay the policy. They're going to just return the premium. So you don't try to cheat the system, right? But you can get a $20,000 policy if you're over 50 with Gerber, no medical, guaranteed issue. It's pretty cool.
That's extremely good, bro. Thank you. That is excellent. That's exactly what I want you to say. That's fantastic. Gerber, huh?
Gerber. Kiki said, how do you start a pension or retirement plan being self-employed as an independent contractor? There's about 5, 6 different ways you can do that, Kiki. It depends how you're structured. If you are LLC, if you're a sole proprietor, if you are C Corp, you can set yourself up to set up your own pension. It's an IRA pension. Put money in, put money in, put money in. The day you decide you don't want to work anymore, that money pays you a pension. Super simple. And you get to, and by the way, you get to deduct the contributions. You can deduct them. Okay. You could do a SEP IRA pension. Again, depending on how you are structured. That's a good question. Guys, I'm going to tell you something. I gave my phone number and I also gave my email. Great questions. And we could be here all night, right? And I'd be happy to help each and every one. If someone just asked a big question here, we're trying to get to it. Sonia, I'll take another minute to answer this. Sonia says, I have Asian friends who laugh when I mention the challenges of paying all the life insurance policies I have for my children. They just save monies needed for final expenses. And yes, I heard whether or not. Okay, that's a long message you got there, Sonia. So, but I think I get the point. So you have a lot of policies. That's what it looks like. By the way, the culture, the Asian culture is very, very different when it comes to insurance. Very different. Yeah. All right, let's go one more. If there's one more, let's go one more.
Yeah, let's make this be the last one because we need to go and wrap it up.
Yes.
So, I think, was it Elsa? I don't know if you still want to go back to your question that you mentioned earlier. Maybe that could be the last one to clarify your question. Or,
Okay, ansia.
oh, sorry. There you go. There you are.
Ansia. Solamente preguntaba si una persona recibe 1,300. Do you speak Spanish? I'm sorry.
Sí. Yo te leí el mensaje en español, sí.
Okay, I'm sorry. Okay.
No, está bien, está bien.
Una
Sí.
persona que reciba 1,300 pesos en Social Security, que vaya a recibir 1,300 pesos en Social Security, tiene compromiso de salud y tiene que pagar más de 1,000 pesos de renta. Y va a recibir un 401k de 60,000 dólares. ¿Qué usted sugiere que podría hacer para que eso se extienda o poder, qué sé yo, manejar ese poco de dinero? Porque en esta ciudad es costosa, bien costosa.
¿Qué edad tiene la persona? ¿Qué edad tienen ellos?
Bueno, va a cumplir su mayoría de edad ya de retiro, 67 años.
Y el 60,000 que tiene en el 401k, ¿lo va a usar inmediatamente o puede esperar un año o dos para utilizar el dinero?
No tiene que usarlo inmediatamente para comenzar a pagar su renta porque no le da para gasto y comida y eso.
Sí, ella puede, bueno, lo más posible, ella puede extender ese 60,000 si lo hace bien, pero en realidad, le digo la verdad, el consejo que le doy a esa persona, que se muda a otro sitio que sea más económico para vivir, porque en Nueva York no, sí, no, es bien difícil con esos números en Nueva York
Mm,
vivir, es
mm,
bien difícil.
ok, ok,
Pero llámame, Alza, llámame. Esta situación yo la conozco muy bien, me llama.
ok. Ah, ok, está bien,
Can you
gracias.
translate that for us, bro?
So I just gave her the secret recipe to Kentucky Fried Chicken. I can't give that to you. So that was the secret recipe. The colonel's gonna come after me. Now her question was, she said, she's limited. The question is limited income,
Yeah, that's most of us.
high expenses, Medicaid, rent, food. Early 60s, and there's 60,000 in a 401k. How do you make it last? That's a tough situation to be in, right? So I said to her, look, first and foremost, the sad reality is very difficult to live in New York with those numbers. You have to consider moving. Remember what I said in the beginning last week? The 6 steps. The first one is managing expenses. If you've done all you can to reduce your expenses and you're still running tight, then changes have to be made, whether you find a way to make more money or you make changes to continue to reduce those expenses. And sometimes that means relocation. That's what it means.
Yeah.
You know what it means? I told my sister the same thing. My sister's going to be 70 years old. I know this scenario. This is my sister's scenario. She lives in Harlem. She lives in Taft Project, where I grew up, 115th and Madison Avenue. She still lives there on the 15th floor. And her health is not great. I said, Laura, you got to move. Come to Texas. Go to Florida. My son is in Florida. Anywhere. It's tough to do that, though.
Yeah, that's real.
No,
That's
amen.
real.
Well, Jay, thank you so much for fielding these questions and giving some prompt and thorough responses. This was great. For sake of time, we're going to close out in prayer, but Jay's info is in the chat. I resent it not long ago. If you scroll up in the chat, feel free to email him, give him a call. But at this time, let's close out in prayer.
Mark, we can't hear you.
Sorry.
Oh, sorry. Father God, we want to use our finances and steward them in a way that honors you, Father. And Lord, we just pray that we can take the things that we've learned, that we can have great conversations with each other, follow up from this, God, and make decisions that will help us both now and in our future and our family's future financially, God. We thank you for this time. Praise